Rule number 1, don't start a battle that you can't win. Rule number 2, when you see an orange spot on the ground, which means an AoE like that, you get out of the way. Rule number 3, you take on your enemies one at a time instead of taking on all of them at once. Because if you get hit with the AoEs from a whole bunch of mobs all at the same time, and you're not prepared for that, then you're going to get knocked down. If they're NPC mobs, you're going to have a higher repair bill. If they're real players, you're going to potentially lose everything depending on where you're playing. So, apply this to life. If you want to win, quite often the best way to win, it's not the most glamorous way, but the best way to win is just not to put yourself in a position where you're not going to be able to hold your ground and be successful. Sometimes we like to be a badass and dive in because we want to prove to ourselves that we're able to do something. But that's not really what we're cut out to do. And so if we want to be true to ourselves and we want to be successful, what we actually have to do is say, I'm not good for this. I'm not ready for this. So I'm going to do what I know I can do and be successful at. And then, of course, take pride in that. Make an effort to do well what you do. But don't try to oversell yourself and then get yourself in over your head. Avoid the AoEs, the area of effect attack that's going to give you extra damage. If you just step out of the way when something bad is coming at you, you're going to be able to withstand a lot more than if you're just always there absorbing the brunt of the attack. It's not about always being the strongest and the most fit. It's about not putting a target on your back unnecessarily. And that's also very relevant in life. There's so many times when you can be ahead of the game just by preparing in advance for something so that you're not having to bear the full brunt of the force at the last minute. Very seldom are we really best suited to absorbing an extreme shock where all sorts of things come at us at the same time. And that's the final point. Don't aggro all the mobs at the same time. Don't get all of them to attack at once. Because even if they're not in and of themselves particularly dangerous, if you have 5 or 6 or 7 of them all attacking at once and you can't dodge them, you might get knocked down because you took on too much. You just ran into the fray with no thoughtfulness of how to actually prioritize your battles. A lot of times people look at total strength, and maybe in real life the equivalent to that is something like your salary. How much money do you make? Like, we think about that a lot, right? What's my salary? But maybe the other side of that coin is something less glamorous but more important, like, what's my cost of living? Can I eliminate some of that weight, some of those things that are going to be requiring me to work harder just to tread water? Imagine the difference between fully paying off that cell phone and then you pay $30 a month for a phone bill for a device you fully own, versus paying for insurance plus the second line for an extra tablet and a smartwatch and a whole bunch of other stuff and a payment for a device that is worth $1,200. And then next thing you know, you're paying T-Mobile $200 a month instead of just paying $30 or $40 a month for a basic phone service. same basic thing, but one of them is weighted very differently. And in life, we're surrounded by opportunities to reappraise, reassess our circumstances, and find a way to mitigate our risk. And it's important that we do that, because if we don't, that's like putting on your gathering gear in Albion and then running into a big mob of enemies unprepared, and then getting hit with a big repair bill afterwards, to where you actually were paying more to fix your stuff afterwards than you ever got in loot from the fight that you dove into. It's important to avoid the ostrich, emu in the sand problem. Where you are like a bird that sticks its head into the sand to hide, because it knows that it is safe if it cannot see danger. Because if it cannot see danger, it believes, cannot see it. That's not true. But that's what we do a lot. Like, have you ever been in a situation where you don't check the mail because you're afraid there's going to be bills in there or something? You don't want to think about it today, so you just don't check the mailbox. Then one day, eventually, you're going to have to check the mailbox. Or maybe you don't check the mailbox and it all goes down to the post office to be held until you pick it up. And then eventually you go down there and you've got 3 weeks worth of mail, a whole bunch of junk mail, and then you've got all those bills you didn't actually pay because you didn't even look at them because you were just being some sort of an irresponsible coward. This is not unrealistic. I know from experience. This is the kind of thing that I used to do years ago. You have to face life with your eyes wide open. You look at your stock portfolio, whether it's going up and having a great day or whether it's going down and having a not so great day. When you have a setback, look for an active solution. Don't be frustrated about what didn't go your way. Just ask the question, what is the best thing for me to do right now? What can I do to continue to level forward based on the available wisdom I have in my arsenal, the knowledge I have at my disposal? And be the person who tries to prioritize, pick your battles. Don't allow setbacks to be all defining. Use them as investment in lessons that you need to learn in life. And if you do that, you will probably have better success. Ultimately, it pays off to stay in the game. And remember that you don't have to win every single battle. Sometimes it's okay just to ride away and save that one for another day. Thank you for watching.